Hey everyone, and welcome to SciCast.
Hello! We are the NPCs. I'm Castia.
And I'm Cypher. It's great to have you with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And big thanks, as always, goes out to Psy Guy.
Oh, definitely. Doing all the groundwork, finding all the interesting stuff for us to talk about.
Couldn't do it without him.
So, quick note before we really get going. You might hear, I don't know, the odd sound artifacts, maybe a distant siren from Seattle passing by my window. We're always tweaking the setup.
Consider it part of the charm. A little atmospheric leakage.
Exactly. Adds to the live feel.
Totally. Like finding a weird texture glitch in a game. Unexpected, but memorable.
Speaking of games, did you get any time in over the weekend? Anything interesting?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I jumped back into that huge open world title. You know the one. They just dropped the pretty big update.
Ah, the one with the big cityscape.
That's the one. New story content, some combat rebalancing. Spent hours just like exploring the new districts and messing with builds.
Yeah.
And Sunday was basically dedicated to the Valorant final stream. The production quality was insane this time around. Really slick. How about you? What did your weekend look like?
I went kind of old school, actually. Found myself reinstalling Final Fantasy Tactics again.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, there's just something about tweaking those job classes.
Yeah.
Finding the perfect combo. Hours just vanished.
I bet. That requires some serious brain power.
It's that satisfaction of, like, really mastering a deep system. And I also dabbled a bit with trying to speedrun a section in an old Metroid game.
Ooh, bold.
The precision you need for those older platformers, the movement. It's kind of remarkable how well that design holds up.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? The contrast. You're digging deep into these established, intricate systems, kind of perfecting the mechanics. And I'm over here exploring these, like, sprawling modern maps and watching the latest competitive meta unfold live.
Different kinds of engagement, for sure.
Yeah.
Yours is about scale and the evolving community aspect, maybe.
Yeah, and the spectacle, I guess. While yours is more about the underlying structure, the design history.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Which actually kind of leads us into what we're unpacking today.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, we're looking at a game that completely messes with your fundamental idea of navigating any kind of space. It's built around this really, really unique core idea.
Okay, intriguing. A game that changes how you experience the environment.
Exactly. We're going to talk about the game Perception.
Ah, Perception. Yeah, I remember that one. Definitely stood out. A horror adventure with a twist.
A big twist.
Yeah.
The whole concept is you play as Cassie Thornton, a blind woman.
Right.
And you navigate this creepy, abandoned mansion purely through echolocation, not sight.
So sound creates the visuals, like her footsteps, tapping her cane.
Or even just ambient sounds like wind or dripping water. They send out these little sonar pulses briefly outlining the world around her. You literally see with sound.
Which is such a cool idea. And it's set in this appropriately named haunted mansion, right? The estate at Echo Bluff.
Fitting, isn't it? And yeah, very haunted. Apparently relentlessly so.
What's interesting thinking about where it fits is how it sits in the horror genre. It's definitely horror, but seems much more about psychological tension, not just gore.
Yeah, people compared it to things like Amnesia or Outlast.
Yeah.
Even Alien. Isolation. Heavy hitters.
But it also came out around the same time as those walking simulators were getting big, like Gone Home.
Right. But Perception kind of carved its own space, didn't it? It blended that narrative exploration idea with proper horror elements and that blindness mechanic.
It sits right in the middle. Psychological horror, narrative game, walking sim elements, all fused together.
And maybe that's why the reception was a bit varied. It tried to do a lot.
Seems like it. Praised for being original, but maybe didn't fully scratch the itch for pure horror fans or those wanting super deep walking sim interaction.
Still, a really bold attempt.
Yeah.
And the story behind it is pretty cool, too. This wasn't some massive studio.
No, it was the Deep End Games, their first game. Started in 2014 by Bill and Amanda Gardner.
Husband and wife team. And Bill Gardner, this is the key part, he was a lead-level designer. Worked on BioShock.
BioShock, yeah. A design director at Irrational Games. That pedigree is significant.
Totally. So you have him, other ex-Irrational folks, bringing that AAA experience to this small indie studio they literally started out of their house.
While raising 4 kids. It's that classic from the basement indie story.
That would be sick.
And that personal journey, you know, building something ambitious under tough circumstances, that often resonates. You could feel the dedication.
Yeah, and maybe lets them stick closer to their original vision without, like, Big publisher interference.
Often, yeah. Though they did partner up for the Xbox release, right, with Fearnomic.
They did, and Fearnomic is actually owned by Looper Team.
The layers of fear, guys, make sense. They know psychological horror.
So that partnership probably helped with getting it out there on Xbox, marketing it to the right crowd. It's always that balance for indies, isn't it? Control versus reach.
Always a tricky calculation.
Okay, let's circle back to that main mechanic. Seeing with sound. How does that actually play?
Well, echolocation is your main tool. Every noise Cassie makes steps, cane taps, environmental sounds lights up the world briefly.
So you can tap the cane deliberately for a bigger pulse.
Exactly. A clearer, wider view, but still temporary.
But you have to make noise to see. In a haunted house, that sounds like a bad idea.
That's the hook. That's the tension. Making noise absolutely attracts the main enemy.
The presence.
Yeah, this thing that hunts you, sensitive to sound. You make too much noise or loud noises and it comes for you. So you're constantly balancing the need to see with the need to be quiet.
Which makes stealth tricky. How do you sneak around if you can't see without making sound?
That's the gameplay loop. You tap carefully, explore, find clues, trigger story bits. Then suddenly maybe you make too much noise and you have to evade the presence.
Not fight it.
No, it's unkillable. It's about hiding, breaking line of sight, managing your sound, just pure evasion and tension. And some interpretations went deeper, suggesting the presence wasn't just a monster, but maybe represented something thematic, like a silencing force, or even related to patriarchal themes in the story.
Wow, okay. So the gameplay mechanic, the enemy, and the story themes are all tightly linked.
It seems like that was the goal, weaving together the unique navigation, the horror tension, and uncovering the mansion's history.
And the story itself jumps around in time.
Yeah, the narrative unfolds in chapters, each exploring the past residents of the mansion, different time periods, different tragedies. Cassie sort of relives or uncovers these layers.
Like she's navigating time as well as space, dealing with the house's trauma, maybe her own too.
Exactly. It digs into some heavy stuff, memory, trauma, oppression, how past horrors echo through generations, apparently linked back to this original curse from the 17th century.
Whoa! Leading up to a confrontation with an ancestor accused of witchcraft. Susanna Morton.
That seems to be the climax, yeah. Uncovering the root of the whole thing. It's ambitious historical horror told through that very unique lens.
But the execution maybe didn't always match the ambition.
That seems to be the consensus from the reviews, yeah. The mechanic was praised, but some felt the actual interactions, the moment-to-moment gameplay, could feel a bit repetitive or shallow compared to the depth of the ideas.
That's often the challenge, isn't it? Making a brilliant concept feel consistently engaging to play.
Definitely. And that led to that mixed reception overall. Metacritic scores kind of hovering in the high 50s, low 60s.
So positive reviews like the premise, the atmosphere.
Yeah, the originality, the mystery. Criticisms pointed to maybe pacing issues or the mechanics not evolving enough.
But it still got nominated for awards, right? And won one.
It did. Nominated at the Boston Festival of Indie Games, and it won Most Fulfilling Community-Funded Game at ZowieGaming in 2018.
That community award is telling. Shows the connection they built with their Kickstarter backers. People appreciated the vision.
That support was clearly huge. And it's interesting how people found help with the game, too. No old-school strategy guides.
Right, it was all online. Walkthroughs, forums.
Pretty much. IGN, GameSpot walkthroughs, Steam community guides, YouTube videos. That's how info spreads now.
Though, didn't some Kickstarter backers get physical stuff, like an art book?
Yeah, soundtrack, art book. Those physical collector's items serve a similar role, giving insight into the world and creation. A different kind of guide, almost.
True. A reward for that direct support.
Any cool trivia or Easter eggs tied into the game?
Well, the whole From the Basement origin story is part of its legend now. And there was that amazing Kickstarter stretch goal, the one about donating proceeds.
Oh, right. To World Access for the Blind, the nonprofit that teaches echolocation.
Yeah. If they hit $250K, they pledged to donate up to $25,000 from retail sales. That's a really powerful connection between the game's theme and a real-world impact.
That's genuinely fantastic. Really grounds the project. Any in-game secrets?
There was one nodding to The Shining, an achievement for finding something related to Lloyd the bartender.
Classic horror inspiration. Makes sense. Bill Garter confirmed The Shining was a big influence, apparently. Yep. Especially for hiding narrative clues and objects around the environment, really building that atmospheric dread.
Nice. Did they add any modes after launch?
They did add a Silent Night mode. based on player feedback, it seems.
What did that do?
It reduced Cassie's internal monologue, so she only speaks for critical plot points for players who wanted, like, deeper immersion, less narration.
Interesting. Letting players tailor the experience.
And the Switch version had something cool, a visual filter called Mode 7.
Mode 7?
Yeah.
Like SNES Mode 7 F-Zero.
Exactly. A total retro nod, just a fun visual tweak. But again, it kind of plays with the idea of perception, offering another way to see the game.
That's brilliant. I love little historical touches like that. And the Switch version came out on Halloween.
Yep, October 31st, 2017. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
It also launched with a remaster update, new difficulty options, script tweaks, so they kept refining it.
Smart.
Yeah.
Polishing it for a new audience. So, okay, stepping back, looking at perception, what's the big picture?
It feels like a game defined by its incredibly bold, unique concept. Born from indie spirit, but with that AAA design background.
Bravely matching up genres, tackling deep themes, all through that echolocation mechanic.
Yeah. And while maybe it didn't perfectly nail the execution for every single player, leading to those mixed reviews.
The core idea is just so memorable.
Totally. Navigating by sound, the psychological focus, the development story. It really stands out. It tried to show blindness, not as just a limitation, but as a different way of experiencing the world. A powerful one.
It absolutely makes you reconsider how you perceive things in games, and maybe outside them too. Makes you think, what else are we missing? What other ways could we experience a world if we relied on different senses?
That's a fascinating thought to leave things on.
Well, that was a really interesting look at perception. Thanks for unpacking it with me.
Yeah, likewise. Good chat.
Remember, you're awesome. Never let the world tell you otherwise. Stay safe. Stay sane.